r/AskReddit. What's fine in small numbers but terrifying in large numbers? I like magnet fishing. It's taking a strong magnet and putting it in canals, lakes or any water bodies and pulling metallic objects out. People find all kinds of cool stuff like guns, old coins, metal safes, seeing a military plane fly over a big city. Archaeological geophysics to find Roman roads. My relatives. I'm a fire juggler and I'm learning to throw knives. At my college, we have to take what is known as wellness classes. Basically you can do anything from talking about your feelings to learning underwater basket weaving and parkour. Fingers on one hand. Chemistry. I have a full-on laboratory in my basement. I'm not talking about a science kit. I have over $30,000 invested in it. I used to run an online chemical store from my home. No. I don't make drugs. My blood sugar. With my limited physical ability. People. I raise butterflies. Mostly monarch butterflies but also eastern black swallowtails and some others that occasionally show up in my garden. The occasional moth too. I bring in eggs or any caterpillar I can provide food and a safe place for until they are fully grown. I release them when they become an adult. If they end up sick or diseased, instead of releasing them, I care for them until they pass away. When I find them sick or in need of help out in the world, I bring them in and help them recover. If they don't get better, they have a calm place with me until they pass. It is both a heartbreaking and joyous hobby to have. When I'm out in the garden they will land on me and let me hold them. When they are sick they come to me and let me care for them. Even ones I have not raised. I've learned so much from them and feel blessed to have the trust of such beautiful creatures. Butterflies are dying out due to humans destroying their natural habitats and food. Please plant milkweed. That one small kindness can help them so much. Bills. Beekeeping. It's fascinating to learn more and more about the complex life the bees have. Also, it is incredibly rewarding to eat honey that was made by your bees with the flowers and trees in your own garden. Edit. Options. I blacksmith as a hobby. Fingers and butt. One of my favorite hobbies is writing letters. I have pen pals all over the world. And I love reading their stories and learning about their cultures while also sharing my own. It's a great way to get to know about places you may either not have known about before, or had some misconceptions about thanks to the media. I love slowing down to concentrate on a person and respond to their letter. Making my own envelopes and decorating them. Choosing pieces to go into them with the stationery. And hopefully giving them something to smile about when the letter arrives in their mailbox. It's a lot of fun. People who are going to have sex with you. I carve wood specificity for the slivers left over after carving. I dye the slivers and make them into flowers. I also dye and paint, acrylic. Burps. Just imagine if everyone around you started burping at the same time. It's a recurring nightmare for me. Dirt. I like making compost for my garden. It's endlessly fascinating to watch plant matter decay over months and years. And there's endless combinations and methods. Also growing plants for carbon sequestration. 12 you girls them shits get in a group and you're fucked. I grow carnivorous plants. They are super interesting. Responsibilities. Geese. Have you ever been surrounded by a gaggle of Canadian geese? Shit is god-inducing. I build log furniture as a hobby. Feels really nice to take deadfall and turn it into something that can be enjoyed. Edit. Sorry. I didn't check Reddit until this morning. Here's an album of the last few projects I've done. Thanks so much for all the kind words everyone. http://imgur.com/a/mwywt04 since a few asked here's my Instagram. Insta. Seagulls. I'm a male knitter. I took it up in honor of a very good friend who died suddenly on the eve of her 31st birthday because of an aortic aneurysm. She would spend all year knitting scarves and hats for the homeless and needy to give out at Christmas. Ronchians. I build electric skateboards. Want something that goes 40 miles per hour around town and can do it for 20-30 miles? I'm your guy. Cockroaches. 0 is fine. More than 0 is fucked up. My little brother farms mealworms and cockroaches. Very successfully. Sells them for a profit. And feeds them to his geckos. Also he builds terrariums full of mosses and centipedes etc. Dolls. I dated a girl that had a porcelain doll collection and it was terrifying to walk into the room she kept them in and see a ton of dolls looking at you like they were about to come alive and kill you. I collect high school and college ebooks. I have over 400 of them. Going back to the 1890s. They're a microcosm of an era and a specific location. Ants. I'm a naturalist. I have been tracking nearly every species I've encountered since 2016. Please feel free to check them out here. Species are listed by the number of submitted observations, that is, the number of times I saw the species. My shelves are filled with dead animals. Bones. Eggs. Feathers. Shells. Sharks in jars. Fossils. Complete skeletons. Leaves. Funko Pops with mouths. My more unusual hobby is collecting paper maps. I have every US state and Canadian province. Plus most major cities. And since I'm in Florida I have every city or county in this state. I started this many years ago. And I'm glad I did. I got most of my maps free from either state highway departments or through my AAA membership. Unfortunately anymore most state highway departments quit publishing their own maps. And AAA's selection is very sparse now. But there's nothing like correctly folding a paper map and being able to use them either to study the place or navigate if you do use them. GPS is fine. Children, especially babies. I do recreational mathematics. Farts. I just learned that I really enjoy restoring old hand tools. There's a few subs that focus on stuff like this. But those dudes are pretty hardcore and are light years ahead of me. I just started. Restored a double bit axe. But I didn't seat it on the handle correctly. I've got a few hand planes and a draw knife next on the list. Gotta finish up that axe. Though. Edit. Here's an album of my first attempts at axe restoration. http://imgur.com/a/o0bmd0d. Here's what it looked like when I dug it out of the ground. http://imgur.com/nhfzgtq. Homework. I like a little challenge. But when it's piled high it just gets overwhelming. High school teacher and musician. I built a little project studio a few years ago in my basement. I've now helped a few young rock and roll bands get demos recorded to get them gigs. Some of the players have been astounding. A few moles are okay. But a mole of moles would be a problem. I sing Gregorian chant. It takes daily practice and much concentration to sing chant stylistically and musically correct, with proper intonation. Kids. I guess mine is a little tame comparatively. But I make ice creams, sorbets, and gelatos from scratch, including inventing my own recipes. I make a different flavor every week. And have done about 100 by now. It wins me many. Kids clapping to a song. I collect restore 80s and 90s electronics. Started with retro gaming gear. Moved into 2-channel stereo gear. Corpses. Aviculture. Care and keeping of birds. Why? Because it's fun. I enjoy them. And they are sweethearts. Currently have 11 due to breeding. However, I won't be keeping the entire clutch. Humans. Astronomy and astrophotography. Started because I wanted to take cool pictures of stuff in space. But taking good photos of deep space objects takes hours, so I bought some stargazing binoculars to pass the time while my setup took pictures. Then I started learning about the constellations and the history behind the naming and the stories and stuff. Got hooked to astronomy more than the photography. It's a great hobby, but it's tough since the equipment can be pricey and you have to do it at night. Also, my favorite objects are in the winter, so I usually end up doing super cold nights out in the high desert for best viewing. Frigid here just thinking about it. Makes it hard to go out more than 3 times a year. But when I go, it's usually for a couple days camping trip with viewing photography every night. Now I miss living in Southern California. Debt. Police at my door. I knit blankets and hats for babies in hospital. I was in hospital 2 years ago. And there was a very kind lady who saw how much pain I was in. And always tried to distract me. She told me that's what she does when she's bored. I never got to say goodbye or thank you to her before I moved to another ward. Consecutive sneezes or orgasms. I do cross stitching and sew my own plushies. Amongst other granny type crafts. My mom taught me to sew when I was young. And now that I have kids, I've moved from mostly clothes to making things like stuffed bob-ombs and banthas. Cross stitching is wonderfully relaxing and tedious all at the same time. Perfect for my temperament. I consolidate history and knowledge about rubber ducks. I can tell you a vast history of my favorite rubber duck design and even own an original mold for one. I compile notes about rubber duck appearances in movies and other media on Wikia. I'm not a huge collector of physical rubber ducks for space reasons. But I do have this rubber duck Christmas ornament collection. I build custom mechanical keyboards as a hobby sometimes. I enjoy typing on different kinds and stylizing them to try and give them some sort of persona depending on the kind of key switches I use. Basically how they feel when typing and how loud they clack. They're very satisfying to see completed and even more satisfying to type with. Thanks OP. Duck-sized horses. I'm a board gamer. I have around 600 games in my collection ranging from lightweight games and party style games all the way up to 11-hour plus train games, 18xx. I have a couple of groups I play with, but regular nights are midweek where we have a couple of beers, chat about all sorts and rattle through a few games. It's a great hobby and so sociable. Plus, if you find a friend like me that buys all the games, then it's almost free. I like to collect rocks that are shaped like hearts. It's hard to find them. But since I found the perfect heart-shaped rock on a hike with my husband, then boyfriend, I've loved to search for them ever since. Woodworking. I started doing it because I like to make stuff with my hands. Turns out I have a pretty good ability to do it, so I went from making simple things like picture frames to making trestle dining room tables. Disclaimer. If you start woodworking because you think it'll be cheaper to build your own furniture, you're wrong. When you get good, sure you can make custom furniture for cheaper than you can buy it, but getting your tool collection to the point where you can make that furniture is very expensive. I say that my hobby is finding new ways to not touch the ground. I rock climb, pole dance, and do aerial silks. If I could spend the rest of my life hanging out upside down, I would. Maybe not that unusual, but origami and paper crafting in general. I started with origami when I was super young, but I kept it up out of habit. Nowadays, I use to help control anxiety. Can't chew my fingernails if I'm folding. I started doing papercraft as a low-cost hobby in college and found it was a relaxing way to maintain focus and feel somewhat productive if I was feeling down. I like to make things. I can jams, jellies, and pickles. I make candles. I crochet scarves and other articles of clothing. I build planter boxes so that I can grow vegetables that I can use in cooking and canning. I feel like I collect hobbies themselves. I love learning new things and can get really passionate for a while before I find something else to try. I've done wood carving, motorcycle riding, airplane flying, skydiving, cycling, beer brewing, collecting local historical documents, cooking and baking, playing in a couple of different bands. I find learning new things more fun than doing things I know how to do. Riding dirt bikes on trails and motocross tracks. It's fun and physically demanding. Also, I like the blend of machine with nature. You can explore dozens of miles of mountain trails in an afternoon. For the tracks, jumping through the air and railing a rut is incredibly satisfying. Only downside is the injuries that come with the sport. Speleology, going into caves, exploring them, etc. My parents brought me into a cave when I was 6 months old, and when I grew up, I continued with it. Caves are very impressive tbh. Lots of formations, stalactites, stalagmites, and for those wondering, I'm not living inside one. I collect rare and historical toilet paper brands. I build stone walls on my property here in Vermont. Ladybugs. I was cleaning out an old barn and went up in the loft. As I was climbing up, I couldn't really see yet because it was so dark in the ground floor but crazy bright in the loft. I felt some small bugs banging into the back of my head. I turned around and there was like a writhing mass of ladybugs on the window frame. Absolutely freaked me out. Bagpipes. Isn't that popular, but hey, it's alright for me. I make Rube Goldberg machines for fun and post them on YouTube. I really like the creative freedom it gives me and they are so rewarding when they work. X's. Oh look. There's one of my exes at the bar. Oh look. There are 8 of my exes sitting together at the bar. I make books from scratch. I make my own covers. Cut all the papers for the inside pages. White blood cells. I restore and operate vintage railroad equipment including steam locomotives. Shoveling 5 tons of coal a day is a real kick in the ass. Miping. Apnea training and freediving. Just learning about the body's cardiopulmonary system and how you can make it adapt to surviving 5-7 minutes underwater has been amazing. And there's nothing quite as peaceful as being underwater and feeling no urgency to move quickly or return to the surface. Bugs. Thanks for watching, mate. Make sure to smash that star button for more high quality content.